It's 2026, and if you're still paying rent without Built, it's time for a change. Built is the loyalty program for renters that rewards you for your biggest monthly expense, rent. With Built, every rent payment earns you points that can be used toward flights, hotels, Lyft rides, Amazon.com purchases, and so much more. And here's something I'm really excited about. Now Built members can earn points on mortgage payments for the first time. That means you can get rewarded wherever you live and unlock exclusive benefits from more than 45,000 restaurants, fitness studios, pharmacies, and other neighborhood partners. Personally, I'd redeem my points for gift cards. You have no idea how many birthday parties my kids go to. It's simple. Paying rent is better with Built. And now owning a home can be better with Built too. Earn rewards and get something back wherever you live. Join the loyalty program for renters at joinbuilt.com/Kate Casey. That's joinbilt.com/Kate Casey. And make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. My mornings typically start at about 6 o'clock, and I'm usually up pretty late. As you can imagine, I need to be running on all cylinders to keep up with 5 kids and a daily podcast. I am always on the hunt for great wellness products, and you guys, I have a great one for you. I started taking the Super Elixir, a premium daily greens powder formulated to support all 11 systems of the body, including improved gut health, immunity, energy levels, and skin, hair, and nail health. It contains a blend of 40-plus whole food ingredients, probiotics, and minerals designed to reduce body acidity. I love that it's gluten-free, and I feel like I do have healthier skin and nails. I mix it with water or coconut water, and I'm good to go. Super easy and convenient. And the taste, it's original pineapple and lime, so it has a vibrant, tropical, and tangy flavor with the citrusy punch that hides the green taste of ingredients like wheatgrass. And by the way, it's Elle Macpherson's daily elixir for thriving through menopause. Right now, get 15% off the Super Elixir at wellco.com and use the code KateCasey15 at checkout. Try it for yourself and feel a difference within weeks. That's WELLECO.com, code KateCasey15 at checkout for 15% off the Super Elixir. 15% off at WELLECO.com, promo code KateCasey15, first time orders only. Quince is all about elevated essentials that feel effortless. Designed for layering and mixing, each piece helps build a timeless wardrobe made to last. With versatile silhouettes and thoughtful details, they're the kind of styles you'll wear again and again. 100% organic cotton sweaters, premium denim made with stretch for all-day comfort, luxe cotton cashmere blends perfect for the changing seasons. Everything you need for a wardrobe that actually lasts. Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middleman so you're not paying for brand markup, just high-quality clothing. Quince uses the highest quality materials like 100% European linen and organic cotton. Everything is built to hold up season to season. One of the big staples of my wardrobe is the Quince Mongolian cashmere sweater. I recommend getting the oversized crew in black and oatmeal. It goes with everything. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/Kate Casey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Kate Casey to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Kate Casey.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Today's episode is about People Magazine Investigates, which is Investigation Discovery's true crime series built on the deep reporting of People Magazine. The show revisits some of the most gripping and complex cases that the magazine has covered over the years. Disappearances, murders, and unresolved mysteries, combining archival reporting, new interviews, and insight from investigators and family members. One of the journalists central to that reporting is Johnny Dodd. He is a senior writer at People and a veteran crime reporter who has covered some of the country's most compelling criminal cases. He's known for careful, methodical reporting and often follows cases that unfold over years, sometimes decades, providing context as new information emerges. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most puzzling cases that is featured on People Magazine Investigates, the disappearance of Angela Green. Angela was 51 years old when she was last seen on June 19, 2019, inside her home on the 7600 block of Tomahawk Road in Prairie Village, Kansas, which is a quiet residential community. After that night, she vanished. There have been no confirmed sightings, no verified phone activity, and no clear evidence establishing whether or not she is alive or deceased. Angela was described as intelligent, private, and deeply devoted to her daughter, Ellie. Now, that summer, Ellie had just returned from studying abroad. According to reports, mother and daughter argued, an unusually intense fight that ended with Angela asking Ellie to leave the house. Ellie went to stay with her boyfriend's family, and she says that's the last time that she saw her mother. 3 days later, she says that her father, Jeff Green, told her that he had checked Angela into a mental health facility against her will. He allegedly claimed that he had taken her to a grocery store parking lot where she was picked up by mental health workers. When Ellie asked to visit, he refused to tell her where her mother was being treated. Weeks pass. In mid-July of 2019, Jeff tells Ellie that her mother had died of a stroke at the facility. He allegedly asked her not to tell Angela's family and said that he would inform them when he was ready. So there was no funeral, no obituary, and no service. For 7 months, Ellie kept the information to herself. In February 2020, she told her relatives, and the family immediately asked for a death certificate. Ellie went to the state capitol to obtain one and was told that there was no record of her mother's death. That discovery prompted the family to contact police. When officers went to the Green home, Jeff reportedly told them that he didn't know where his wife was. The following day, he allegedly said that there were times in which that she would leave the home for days at a time. Soon after, he declined further communication and referred investigators to his attorney. Since then, the case has only grown more complicated. There is no documentation that Angela was ever admitted to a mental health facility. There is no death certificate, no evidence she left the country, and her phone, keys, and identification were left at home. Police searched the Green residence with cadaver dogs, no results. They also searched a 35-acre lot that Jeff used to store collectible cars, bringing in more than 100 officers and even a dive team to search a pond on the property, and nothing was found. Investigators have said publicly that they have no evidence confirming that Angela is alive, but there's also no definitive proof that she is dead. Angela was born in China and moved to the United States on a fiancé visa in the late 1990s. Family members say that after her marriage, she became increasingly isolated. She did not work outside the home and had limited contact with people beyond her immediate family. Her life largely revolved around her daughter. The episode of People Magazine Investigates covering this case is titled Looking for Angela, and that is out this week. And it lays out the conflicting accounts, the missing documentation, and the unanswered questions that continue to surround her disappearance. And again, joining me in this episode is Johnny Dodd, the senior writer at People, who has followed this case so closely. So we talk about the case and a little bit about his career as well. Now, upcoming episodes of People Magazine Investigates include The Girl on the Bike. This is about the murder of Jody Loomis in 1972. So it's August of 1972. Jody Loomis is 20 years old. She leaves her home in Washington for what should have been a routine bike ride to visit her horse in a nearby stable. So when she didn't return, concern quickly turns to alarm. And the next day, her body was discovered in the woods along a rural road. The brutality of the crime stunned this small community, and at the time, investigators had little to work with. There were no eyewitnesses and no clear suspect, and in a town like Bothell, Washington, where many residents knew one another, obviously suspicion quietly spread. So for decades, rumors circulated and the case remained open but unsolved. And what ultimately broke the case open was forensic technology that did not exist in 1972. So decades later, preserved evidence was tested using advanced DNA techniques and forensic genetic genealogy, the same investigative tool that helped identify suspects in other cold cases nationwide. So in 2018, nearly 46 years after her murder, police arrested a longtime Bothell resident. And the arrest shocked the community. The suspect had lived in the area for decades, raising a family and living an outwardly ordinary life. So the episode explores on not only the original investigation, but the emotional toll on her family and how advances in DNA science are rewriting the endings of cold cases that were once thought to be unsolvable. Then there's Love, Lies, and Lust. This is about the disappearance and death of Lori Shaver. So Mike and Lori Shaver were high school sweethearts. They built a life together outside Orlando, Florida. But behind the appearance of this very happy suburban family, their marriage had actually deteriorated. By 2015, their relationship was marked by frequent arguments and allegations of infidelity. And then Lori disappears. Now, at first, explanations were offered. She had left, she needed space, she was starting over. Over time, her absence became normalized to some, but not everybody was convinced. In 2018, authorities executed a search warrant at the Shaver home, and what they discovered in the backyard changed everything. Buried on the property were human remains later identified as Lori Shaver. Prosecutors alleged that Lori was shot and buried in the yard and that efforts were made to conceal her death for years. So that case centers not only on the homicide investigation, but also on dynamics inside the marriage, the digital trail that was left behind, and the family members who began to question the official story. Then there is Deadly Ride, the murder of professional cyclist Moriah Mo Wilson. In May of 2022, 25-year-old elite gravel cyclist Mo Wilson traveled to Austin, Texas for a race. She was one of the rising stars of the cycling world, talented, focused, and widely respected. Just days before a major competition, she was found shot to death inside of a friend's apartment. Investigators quickly uncovered a complicated personal dynamic involving another cyclist, Colin Strickland, and his on and off again girlfriend, Caitlin Armstrong. Authorities alleged that jealousy played a central role in what had happened. According to prosecutors, Armstrong believed that Strickland and Wilson had been in a romantic relationship. Surveillance footage, digital records, and travel data became central pieces of this investigation. After Wilson's murder, Armstrong fled the country, triggering a dramatic international manhunt that ended with her arrest in Costa Rica. She was eventually extradited to the U.S. to stand trial. The case drew national attention, not only because of her prominence in the cycling community, but also because it revealed how quickly jealousy and suspicion can escalate into violence. And then, the truth about Blair. This is about the disappearance and murder of Jennifer Brown. In January of 2023, 43-year-old Jennifer Brown, a single mother, vanished from her home in Limerick Township, Pennsylvania. Her 8-year-old son was left without answers, and her family quickly reported her missing. Now, at first, there were few signs of struggle, but investigators soon discovered inconsistencies in the timeline provided by people close to her. Days later, her body's found in a shallow grave in Royersford, Pennsylvania. As detectives dug deeper, the case centered on someone that she had trusted. Prosecutors alleged that she was killed by Blair Watts, the father of her son. Authorities say that evidence, including digital records and witness statements, contradicted early explanations. So the investigation moved quickly, but the emotional impact was profound, especially for her young child, who's left navigating life without his mother. The episode focuses on the urgency of the search, the unraveling of conflicting stories, and how investigators pieced together what happened in a matter of days. So again, it is called People Magazine Investigates. It is on Investigation Discovery. And here is my interview with Johnny Dodd. Was January supposed to be your big fresh start? Well, sometimes the pressure to fix everything all at once can make you feel stuck. Grow Therapy makes it easier to reset at your own pace with therapy that's covered by insurance and built around your life. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you and not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges that you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Therapy is the best gift you can give yourself because it's an investment in understanding, healing, and becoming the healthiest version of you. Visit growtherapy.com/Kate Casey today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/Kate Casey. growtherapy.com/Kate Casey. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan. Every year I tell myself I'm going to get better about meal planning, and every year life gets busy and it falls apart. What finally clicked for me is realizing that meals don't have to look one specific way. They just have to fit your life. That's what Marley Spoon does really well. What I love is that Marley Spoon actually adapts with you. Some nights you cook, some nights you heat, some nights you just need dinner done fast. They've got options for all of it so that meals fit your schedule and not the other way around. And here's what I love. They give you over 100 recipes to choose from each week. We're talking comforting classics to fresh, balanced dishes. Marley Spoon has tons of options in their marketplace, from meal shortcuts and drinks to fresh groceries that you can add on every week. And you can find these in every weekly menu. And you've got a few extra minutes. You've got some great 20-minute options too. And my personal favorite hack, the tray-baked dinners. Literally throw everything on one tray and boom, you're done. And they even include the tray. My favorite recent meal from Marley Spoon was the honey lemon chicken, but my kids also love the citrus kale salad with poached salmon. So this new year, fast track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. That's marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey for up to 25 free meals. This new year, fast track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey for 45% off your first order and free delivery. That's right, 45% off your first order and free delivery. That's marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Where does this all begin? Does it begin writing, or did you do investigative work before you became a writer?
No, I mean, I've been at People now for, over 30 years. But I started out with working with newspapers up in the Northwest, up in Seattle. And I bombed out of electrical engineering school and got into journalism, and ended up in Seattle and was working for some papers up there, and freelancing for a lot of folks, and started working for People, and it just slowly morphed into a full-time gig. And I moved down. I've been in LA now for a little over 30 years, but covering stories basically all over the world, hopping around and flying and doing a lot of human interest stories, but a huge amount of crime stories too. So last week I was doing this terrible Nancy Guthrie story. I did that cover.
Oh wow!
And so, I've I wrote a book a couple years ago with the FBI profiler John Douglas, when we got all of BTK's journals and diaries that he'd hidden up in his closet that nobody had seen, and we wrote a book about it. Spent about a year and a half on that. So done short form for magazine, and then long form for nonfiction books.
So what was the first big case that kind of launched you? And does that case still ruminate? Do you still think about it?
Again, there have just been so many. Right when I started, I ended up parachuting into the O.J. Simpson case.
Wow.
Right when that exploded, and actually got the first quote. My buddy was a landscaper for the Brown family, and got me in there, and I got my card on their doorstep, and they ended up calling me and got sort of the first quotes out of them when that story broke. And they right before they hung up, they kind of alluded to they knew exactly who did it, and he was going to rot in hell. And it was clear who they were talking about. And it was long before I think anybody was really eyeballing OJ as being the perpetrator of those two murders.
How many times does that happen, though? Like, you get access to like a landscaper, maybe it's somebody else who's in someone's orbit. How often do you have to kind of weave through people's social orbits?
Yeah, as a reporter, you're trying to find an in to get some fresh material from somebody, and so I would always sort of weirdly find not always, but a lot of times find an angle in, because that's what we're looking for here, not just sort of police reports or court documents and things like that, but to sort of go a couple layers down and dig and get something fresh with some insight into the people involved.
What was that like, raising kids and being on the road all the time? And you're carrying the weight of some of these cases that are so dark and murky, and especially if they have to do with children.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I spent, I don't even know how long, working on the Lacey Peterson case, as that unfolded over the years. And yeah, I mean, it really makes you, I mean, it sounds cliche, but just, moments are precious, and life can get snuffed away so quickly. And it's really made me take nothing for granted, which I think a lot of folks that I'm sure a lot of cops and a lot of emergency rescue people and all that have that same sort of thing. You realize just how quickly life could change.
You're getting a phone call, and then you're just you're planning your flights, and then you're off, and you're just trying to like work quickly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You're not these days I'm doing a lot more. We've got reporters that are out doing what I used to do, and hopping on planes with a suitcase and not knowing when you're coming back, and I'm actually taking a lot of their great reporting and then cobbling it together for a magazine story. But I still go from time to time out in the field and poke my nose into things.
So some of these cases obviously do not have answers even years later. How often do you work on a case and it still tugs at you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all of these cases just rip my heart out. And I think maybe that's sometimes why I'm able to, I know in the past why I would get a lot of interviews with folks that maybe weren't talking to other people. I think they could almost sense that it's like, I'd really rather not have to be writing about this in the first place, but it's my job. I got to do it. So, but I think people sometimes could feel just how I'm absolutely empathetic with what these people must be going through.
Well, you're here today, and we're going to talk about the Angela Green case. I was fairly familiar with this case. It must have been your original reporting. These cases, just like this one, how does it find its way to you, and this one in particular?
I blame my mother for this one. I'm from Kansas. I'm actually from the little town where Ellie, the daughter, is from. We went to the same high school, and wow. I think my mother saw it in one of maybe she saw a mention of it on the news or in a newsletter or something like that, and she told me about it. I mean, in the first sentence, I immediately was like, daughter looking for her missing mother. That's like, what? And she's like, well, I'll send you the newspaper clippings, and it's like, wait, there's this thing called the internet. Give me, give me a minute here. And within 30 seconds, I called up a couple articles on it. And so that's how I found my way to it, and was instantly intrigued. And again, I came to it, I think in 2020, it was like a year and a half after this thing had sort of exploded, at least in the local press in the Kansas City area. So that's how I found my way to it, and then tracked down Ellie, and we started talking, and I kept thinking, well, surely this thing's going to get, by the time I know I was stacked up with some other stories, and I just remember thinking, well, this thing's going to they're going to crack this open before we even go to press with it. But we continued to talk, and then it morphed into a story in the magazine and some web stories and such. But that's how I found my way to it. I blame my mother.
Well, just in terms of context, If someone like Angela, who's a quiet, private person, if she disappears in a place like Prairie Village, is that something that people would take notice of? Or is it the kind of place where privacy is respected and people can kind of live their lives and go seen and unseen without much notice?
No, I mean, Prairie Village is, a little bitter community of Kansas City proper. And it's, what the population's, I think, around 30,000, 25,000. So, yeah, I mean, it quickly, I mean, the fact that it started to explode when Ellie and her cousin, Michelle, began putting it out on social media when they were just frustrated that there was no headway being made in the case, and they were getting completely frustrated with Ellie's father's excuses and explanations and flip flopping what happened. So it's, I mean, Kansas City is a city with a lot of news, well, a newspaper and lots of TV stations and stuff. So once they heard about this, it definitely started making local news. But it was a good eight. It was 8 months before the police even really knew about it.
How much do you think her race factored into the disinterest at first in covering the case?
Oh, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think her race, because she came from China, and it sounds like she sort of had a very she really didn't have any friends. Her English, she was really embarrassed about her grasp of the English language, and so she didn't really communicate with anyone but her daughter. She taught Ellie Mandarin so they could communicate, and I think she'd been to a dentist twice in 25 years and a doctor once when she gave birth, and that was it. So she stayed at home and never left. And so she might as well have been living out in some remote, in the middle of Wyoming or something, because she never really left she'd go shopping. She'd tend to some of the flowers on some of the median strips around their house, but completely insulated from the rest of the world. And I think that's what made she had no footprint of friends or social media, or really her husband didn't want her to have a credit card, allegedly didn't want her to have a credit card or a bank account or anything like that. So she was completely sealed off. And I think that's what sort of has made this so difficult, because there's nothing really to follow up on.
Mm-hmm. And what can you tell me about her husband? His line of work, his social circle, or anything about his origin story that makes this case even more interesting?
Yeah, it sounds like he's a Kansas City native. He's a car collector, and I think if I remember correctly, Ellie said he was really into Jaguars, and he was traveling over in China. I think if I remember this correctly, he was either looking for cars or looking for car parts for Jaguars, and in the mid '90s, and was introduced to Angela. At that point, and she'd gone to college and was a bright young woman, but definitely her sister had met an American. I think it was an American, but I know the sister had married and actually was living in Kansas at the time, and so Angela's dream was to get out of China and come to the States, and so then she meets Ellie's dad, and and the fact that he lived in Kansas seemed, like really cool to her because she could be next to her or near her sister. And so that's sort of how the romance unfolded. And he worked as in IT. At the, if I remember, it's the federal courthouse in Kansas City for a couple decades.
Could he speak Mandarin Chinese?
I don't think so. Yeah.
So she literally has no one to talk to.
No, I mean, Ellie was her connection to the outside world, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so she doesn't have a, in a lot of these cases, you've got some friends or coworkers that when something this egregious happens, they're clamoring for justice. And in this case, you've just got Ellie, and then she's got, she's completely conflicted, or she was completely conflicted for a good 8 months. She bought her father's all the excuses that her father was giving her, and from July of 2019 until February of 2020, she was buying everything he was telling her, and then finally he wouldn't even let her reach out to her aunt, her Michelle's mother, who now they now live back east. And so that was when she finally in February reached out to her of 2019 and said, "My mother's dead." And that's when things really started to take off after that, because Angela's sister, and it would have been her niece, said, "Wait, this is completely screwy, and I don't know what your dad's telling you, but let's, we got to figure out, can we get a death certificate? Can we get, there's got to be something here to prove that Angela has died." And so that's when things really, really took off, when Ellie began to question her father. But it took a good 8 months for that to happen. And so by that point, the police are already behind the eight ball.
Right.
So much time has passed.
Now, talk to me a little bit about his orbit, because she's trying to get answers from him. She's up against a brick wall. There's no one else, coworkers, family, or anything that can provide any help as well.
He's got a couple of siblings, and I mean, if you ask the police, they believe that some of his family members know a bit more than what they're sharing. I actually got one of his sisters. She doesn't live, I don't think she lives in Kansas City. She lives somewhere else, if I remember correctly. But she's completely, I think she's the only family member that, at least at that point, had cut him off. She hasn't talked to him anymore because she's like, I don't understand what's going on here. And, why you're not being forthcoming with answering what happened to your wife. And she said it definitely had caused a rift in the family. But other family members, nobody wanted to talk to me, and the police too have said they believe that they know more than they've shared.
So in that case, it's almost like you have to play a waiting game to see if somebody messes up or slips up, or if the person that committed the crime slips up as well. Exactly.
Yeah. And I don't know how you live with yourself if you're sitting on information like that, especially in a case like, I mean, the poor daughter Ellie is just, you can only imagine. I mean, she was the perfect little daughter for these two. Kind of, very strict upbringing. Never had sleepovers, or never, was a bit of a homebody, but was valedictorian of her class. I think she speaks 4 languages. Very pretty, and the second she graduated from high school and got out of and got into the University of Kansas, her world really opened up at that point, and she was sort of seizing it. And that's sort of what I think. Definitely, when her mother saw her daughter sort of pulling away, as you naturally do at like when you go off to college, it started to really mess with her head, and I think she'd already had some mental health issues that she was dealing with, but had never gotten any help for anything. And with her daughter starting to pull away and sort of go out on her own, it really exacerbated things, and that's what led to the rift that night in June of 2019, where they got in a fight, which was happening more periodically, but their mother basically threw her out of the house. And so she went to her boyfriend's house and thought, she'll cool down and text me and apologize like she always does. But that never happened.
Have the investigators gone into the house and done luminol or anything of that sort that would indicate that the crime had occurred?
Yeah. They've done search warrants at the house in Prairie Village where Angela grew up, and where she supposedly that's where she last saw her mom. And then they did the same day they did a search warrant there. They did a search warrant in. He had bought a house in Lawrence, Kansas, where the university is, and he bought it for Ellie to live in with her friends while she was attending school. They searched that house, and they also searched a 35-acre property in Olathe, Kansas, right outside of a few miles out, where a buddy of his owned, and he had some cars stored there and a trailer. And I think something like 200 officers went there, and cadets from the police academy and divers out in this lake. And they combed that, by grids. And the only thing that's missing, though, they've said, is that there's a massive mound of dirt that's like 40 feet high. That during this whole period that this was happening, they were building a courthouse, the new county courthouse, and they were carting each day hundreds of tons of dirt and dumping it on this property. So, I mean, if there was a body, if you would have wanted to put a body underneath that and have them put 40 feet of dirt on top of it would, they haven't gone down into that pile. And so that's one of the mysteries. I mean, they don't have a body, and they've searched everything, and really haven't found anything. But that pile of dirt has always stuck out as
something
a bit of
unusual,
a red flag that that would involve a massive effort to dig down into that. But it seems like that's the last bit.
The last part of the story that I found was interesting was how close she was to Zach's family. And I know a few years have gone by. Does she remain close to that family? Because in hearing the way that they were of support to her when she realized that her mother was probably deceased, what an extraordinary couple to extend themselves to this young woman who now is without parents.
Hey, that's they're good Kansas folks. I don't think they're together. She lives in Colorado now. But yeah, I think they totally, their heart has gone out to Ellie, and they were absolutely a safety net for her at that point. She had nobody, and I think they really want to see justice prevail here. But like everybody else, they're scratching their head because the case has continued to go on without any new twists or leads here over the past couple of years.
Yeah. Well, so as of now, there's no movement in the case. We're hoping that new leads can come forward with the airing of this. I'm sure, over time, having a platform like this show has done tremendously for investigations. Like you said in the beginning, she and Michelle were struggling to get anybody to pay any attention and to look now at what has happened. It just takes one person to remember something, to say something that could really move the needle forward. Besides the Guthrie case, what else are you working on right now?
I just I did a story a couple of weeks ago on the first victim of BTK. Actually, his family was they were the first victims of Dennis Rader, and he was off at school, and he came home to discover his mother and father and two siblings had been brutally murdered by this guy. So that's one story I just wrapped up. Trying to think as far as crime stories, I've always got something cooking here. I never know what the day's going to bring.
Yeah. Well, I'm really grateful for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this was great.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my wonderful guest, Johnny Dodd, and remind you to make sure that you click subscribe or follow to make sure that you get all of the episodes of my podcast. And please leave a 5-star review. Join the Facebook group Reality Life with Kate Casey. Find other people that love all the same unscripted TV that you do as well. And every Monday, you can get my What to Watch list at katecasey.substack.com. You can get access to all of my archived lists as well that go back weeks and months and years. And then make sure you check out bonus podcast episodes on Apple Podcast and on Patreon at patreon.com/Kate Casey. And follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at KCCA, TikTok it's KKC, and Twitter Threads and Blue Sky at KKC. Hope that you're having a great week and make sure that you check back for an all-new episode tomorrow.